You want me to start, or are you going to play the music again?
I'm gonna play the music now.
Okay.
Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar la mesa redonda de Roundtable, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio.
Amigos oyentes de USA la Radio, están escuchando la mesa redonda de Roundtable desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Como de costumbre, traemos noticias sobre el COVID, noticias sobre la política, noticias mundiales, noticias interesantes para los amantes del deporte del fútbol. Vamos a ver cómo nos va en el día de hoy, pero estamos hablando de un virus global que llegó a los 119 millones de casos y muertes, más de 2.600.000. Para el mundo, pero comparado con Estados Unidos, hemos contribuido más muertes que otros países. Estados Unidos va a la cabeza en el número de personas que han muerto como resultado del COVID y en cuanto a casos también. Así que la lista es amplia, está Estados Unidos, está India, Brasil, Rusia, United Kingdom, Francia, España, en donde el COVID ha hecho estragos. Las muertes en Estados Unidos son 532.000, más o menos, no tengo un número preciso, pero pues hay una sensación de optimismo por los anuncios del presidente en cuanto a más inventario, a una distribución más organizada de las drogas para combatir el COVID. Y hay números que nos preocupan, pero en general este asunto del virus se está moviendo en la dirección apropiada, con más detalles, un desarrollo más positivo en cuanto a vacunas, etc. In the last week, the president made a speech about what is happening with COVID, and it's a sensation of that things are looking up. The president announces more vaccines will be available. We need about 80% of the population to be vaccinated. But we have a reluctance on the part of Republican men. I guess the women have more common sense. But a very large group of men, 49%, almost half of the Republican men, are refusing to receive the vaccine. I heard Dr. Fauci say that he doesn't understand that because the virus is not political, it's neither Republican nor Democrat. The vaccine is not Republican or Democrat. The virus affects everybody, and the vaccine is good for everybody. So he questions the number of Republican men who are resisting the vaccine. And he was asked by the interviewer if he thought an intervention by Donald Trump, that if Donald Trump said that he supported the vaccine, that many of these men who just follow him blindly may start to get the vaccine. We don't know that if that would have an effect, but certainly it would help with those who accept everything that Mr. Trump has to say. He's still a very strong leader. Fauci even says that. He says he's very influential among Republicans. But Fauci also pointed out that there's a surge in Europe, and he warns against lifting the restrictions right now in the United States too quickly, because then we might be forced to redo the whole thing, close businesses again, sort of restart, and that has happened in Italy, where the system is such that they had to again institute restrictions due to the fact that COVID came back quickly. And news from Miami. Hundreds of people arrested in Miami Beach. Spring breakers. They ignored the COVID-19 protocols, and the mayor, Dan Gelber, says, if you're coming here to disrupt, it is not worth the money to us. So yes, many of these places like Miami and vacation spots need the money. They live from the tourist trade. So they'll be happy to see people come, but not if they do not respect the protocols, the requirements, the rules that operate under COVID. This is a true emergency. It's not a game, and it's absurd. Well, we already know it's ridiculous that so many Republicans are still opposed to it. But around us, more vaccine comes to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Philly. And the leaders say the president, his spring goals can be achieved, and in fact have been achieved. More than 100 million vaccines have been given as of this weekend that just passed. So that means the 100 million vaccines in 100 days was probably a number that came to the president, but we have gone beyond that, and certainly by the 100-day date that he settled, we'll have more than 100 million vaccines. So in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, we have good news with the inventory, with the distribution, and it was not clear Friday how the state will make sure that people can get an appointment. Officials in Delaware, Montgomery, Bucks, and Chester counties say they had not yet heard how many doses would come to them beginning March 22nd. Something Wolf said providers should already know, meaning they did not yet know how many appointments they could schedule. But if the state can achieve its new goal, it would represent a major turnaround in Pennsylvania for its residents who have often struggled to find appointments using this state's patchwork system amid vaccine scarcity. Though the vaccination pace has increased significantly in recent days. Así que, señores oyentes, si ustedes están preocupados por la vacuna, si no la han recibido, si no saben cómo obtenerla, etc., hay modos de obtener una cita. Muchos de nosotros hemos recibido información de la gente encargada de Filadelfia, la oficina desde donde se maneja el COVID. Yo sugiero que si usted vive en Filadelfia, entre a fila.gov y allí podría encontrar esta información. Para muchos que no sepan esto, también hay sitios como el Centro de Convenciones de Pensilvania y el Diaspora Center en la Universidad de Temple. donde están vacunando en números muy grandes. Así que ya pronto no habrá ese problema de encontrar, de poder fijar un horario en el día en el cual se puede obtener su vacuna. Porque el inventario está aumentando y la organización se está poniendo más efectiva en cuanto a cómo, dónde y cuándo se puede obtener. There are many questions that require answers and quickly if we are to accurately schedule appointments for everyone in Phase 1A by March 28th, the Chester County Commissioner said in a statement. If the state does, in fact, send us a greater supply, we're definitely prepared to open additional sites. So that's from Chester. So almost every corner of the state right now, because the Governor Wolf has announced that there are more vaccines available, and almost every corner there is a great deal of optimism a lo que puede pasar. Bueno, señores, en Usala Media, estamos aquí en la mesa redonda de Roundtable, el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Regresamos en un momento.
Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar la mesa redonda de Roundtable, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas locales, regionales y mundiales. Por USA la Radio.
Bueno, señores oyentes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Más noticias sobre esto de la COVID y la vacuna. The U.S. surpassed 800 million COVID-19 vaccine doses administered over the weekend, a symbolic milestone in the fight to end the pandemic. As of today, almost 70 million people have received at least one shot, 21% of the population, with more than 37 million people fully vaccinated. The country also set a single-day record Friday with 2.9 million doses administered. Well, that's great. If you can do close to 3 million in one day, imagine that. In 30 days, we could do 30 million. In 100 days, we could do another 100 million, which means that, let's see, 100 days from now, 3 months from March 15, April, May, June. By June, we would have almost 1/3 of the, no, 2/3 of the population vaccinated. That's amazing. And compared to what was happening before, and now the vast majority of these shots have been 2-dose regimens from Pfizer, 54 million from Pfizer, and Moderna, 52 million doses given. Just over 1 million people have received the Johnson & Johnson single-shot vaccine, which gained authorization on February 27. Alaska leads the U.S. with 17% of its population fully vaccinated. Last week, the state became the first to open eligibility to all adults. And so we'll see. That's one thing that could happen to Pennsylvania very quickly, that all adults will be eligible to receive the vaccine. On the other hand, if we want to open schools, maybe the government can target a vaccine to teachers and the staff that works at our schools, and maybe to the students. I think before the vaccine becomes just available for everybody who wants to be vaccinated, and according to the estimates of the government, that will be by June. Well, I think Biden says the end of May 31st, but I believe I'm more optimistic about June. being the month in which it will be available to everybody. Biden, as we recall, said July 4th was Independence Day from Biden, from the virus. At this point, the U.S. Leads the world in total doses administered, while Israel leads in per capita vaccines, having fully inoculated more than 55% of the citizens. The U.S. joined Australia and other allies in committing to provide at least 1 billion doses across Asia by 2022, a move many believe is meant to counter vaccine diplomacy by Russia and China. Well, not to be sort of jingoistic, but I trust our vaccine more than I would trust the Russian vaccine. I believe that Putin sort of rushed the vaccine approval. I don't know what he was seeking, political gain, maybe, but I would not I would not risk receiving a Russian vaccine. Separately, officials are reviewing data suggesting young students in classrooms can reduce social distancing requirements from 6 to 3 feet. Preliminary studies have shown no substantial increase in viral transmission under the change. The move would potentially expedite school reopening. And wow, that would be a great piece of news for many parents who are struggling right now because just the feeling that their sons, their daughters, their children have missed so much school, so much of the school year already. So the average, the daily average for people dying in the U.S. is 1,400, and so we won't see that number go down. And we're afraid that events like the one we just read about, Miami Beach, with all these partygoers not obeying the rules, that could lead to an increase, a surge. Because obviously what happens here is they go, they meet in Miami Beach, they pick up the virus, and then they go back home, back to their schools or back home, and they then spread the virus again. So it's that makes it more difficult for the government to implement the plans that it has put in place to attack the virus. Well, on a more positive note about March, the Ides of March, today, March 15th. It's one of my best friend's birthday. It's easier to remember because it's March 15th. So congratulations to my friend David Sudo on his birthday. After a pandemic-induced hiatus, the NCAA men's basketball tournament returns this week with a 68-team field announced yesterday. Leading the way is overall top seed Gonzaga, 26-0, followed by number 1 seeds Baylor, 22-2, and Illinois, 23-6, and Michigan, 24. There is a breakdown of all these teams, and if you look up in CBS Sports, you can probably find more specific information about this. But anyway, the famous bracket now. This is the week for it. If my memory serves right, you have to fill out a bracket before Thursday, I think, when the games begin in earnest. Another big announcement: Beyonce wins big. 63rd annual Grammy Awards were held last night, with a superstar R&B artist Beyonce taking home 4 awards, including Best Rap Song and Best R&B Performance. So that brings the 39-year-old singer's lifetime total to 28 Grammys, making her the most awarded woman in the history of those awards, sitting behind only classical conductor Sir George Solti at 39 awards. Wow. That's impressive. Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy Carter, also got in on the action, becoming the second youngest winner for her work in the music video Brown Skin Girl. Taylor Swift won the night's top prize, grabbing Album of the Year for Folklore, which she made entirely during the pandemic. So, talking about being productive during the pandemic, so many of us have made plans to fix this or that, to paint the house, or to paint with brush and canvas. Um, and in spite of that, we all our plans. In spite of all our plans, we have not come even close to doing anything that creative as producing an entire album, producing a music video that earns an award. So congratulations to these people, as well as for the sports world. This now that the news are about football. Drew Brees, New Orleans Saints quarterback, 13-time Pro Bowler, a former Super Bowl MVP, calls it a career after 20 seasons. Drew Brees, and so some of these quarterbacks, only a few of them have had such long lives in the sport, professional lives. But he's one of them. Impressive to the end, Drew Brees. Boxing legend, marvelous Marvin Hagler. For those of us who have followed boxing, he was world middleweight champ for 7 straight years. He's dead at 66, too young. And speaking of that, age. The thing about age, it's 60s. It's now considered like you leave too soon if you die in your 60s. Even in your early 70s, it still seems that we have many more years. So some very powerful, well-known figures have lived well into their 90s. George Bush father, Jimmy Carter, who's still around. They live into their 90s, and some of them with very productive lives to the end. So more power to us. And speaking of power, so for those of you interested in this kind of gossip, Jennifer Lopez and her fiancé, Alex Rodriguez, deny media reports that they have broken up after a 2-year engagement. J-Lo continues to stay in the news. We know that. We saw that presentation she made at a Super Bowl, I believe. Anyway, so at some event where she appeared with other entertainers. She's somebody who seems eternal. Her beauty is still bringing fans. So those are sort of nice news for the day. I imagine the people who receive all these awards are happy. Nominations announced for 2021 Academy Awards. Avatar has its Avengers Endgame as the biggest worldwide box office draw in history, with 2.8 billion in revenue. 2.8 billion. So It's an unimaginable number for a movie, but you are. More money than Avengers: The Endgame, and so Avatar. I saw it, and it was very enjoyable. And, it's one of those you must see movies. Very interesting. And science and technology news: judge rules Google must face class action lawsuit claiming the search giant collected users' data even while browsing in incognito mode. Okay, see, that's Google. Supposedly we were not being followed. We did not reveal who we were, but apparently we are. Google is probably following us right now at this moment. So watch out. Well, my friends, we're going to take another break here in Usa la Media, the Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Dani Ramos, controlando la máquina digital. Regresamos en un momento.
Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar la mesa redonda de Roundtable, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas locales, regionales y mundiales. Por USA la Radio.
Amigos oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo en la mesa redonda de Roundtable desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. And look who has appeared out of nowhere, out of...
why are you trying to make me sound like the devil?
Because you are.
Adavio.
Yeah. Our friend, Martin Pratt, has finally...
I have not appeared out of nowhere. You know where I came from.
Finally rejoined us after an absence of weeks.
1 week, not Fernando. It has been 1 week.
I don't know. I don't think you know exactly what.
Oh yes, I do.
Time.
Believe me, last week was a difficult week.
Okay. I'm sorry you had a difficult week. I'm glad you're here.
You're going to be an uncle.
Excellent. For those of you who have not met Martin before on our program, he has his own connections in digital media. He's all over the place in social media and Clubhouse. Is it?
I keep dragging Fernando with me. Come.
Yes, right. I try to drag you in here too, but you resist. Anyway, Martin is a very able individual in terms of social media. He's very well informed. He's an activist.
Nobody asked me to debate to host a debate. Yeah, so I'm not as popular as Fernando.
Well, I'm sorry about that. We'll make you popular here. Anyway, Martin.
Yes, sir.
So, interesting things have happened since last I saw.
In 1 week, right?
In 1 week, yes.
Biden is moving like this, like Pepe Le Pew. Biden.
Pepe Le Pew, yeah. Well, that's one of those things that the Republicans are really worried about. Pepe Le Pew. I don't understand the Republicans, man. At this point, what are they doing?
Did you see last week they were trying to stop the vote in the House by usually people will say voice vote and they just say the vote,
right?
But the Republicans decided to ad lib each time that was requested. Instead of just saying voice vote, they read this and I am going to. So they tried to slow down the bill, and it was led by Marjorie Greene. And so apparently she's trying to become a force to be reckoned with, like AOC or Omar. So it's going to be interesting in Georgia, when she runs again, because I think the more that she tries to stop healthcare or the stimulus, it's just you can run attack ads on her all day.
Yes, it's unfortunate that she still has, she has support in there. Republican Party.
Apparently by the minority leader.
Yeah, well,
I mean, these guys are like you said. I understand they are scared of Trump.
They gave her a standing ovation at that CPAC.
I know, I saw that crap.
Unbelievable. She should be run out of town, actually, but no, there she is.
Well, you remember the Tea Party, right? It worked for a while.
Yeah.
It worked for about a year and a half, and then it started falling apart.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and now Sarah Palin is, you only hear her name once in a while, and not in a positive way. So.
And whatever happened to that guy, the plumber, Joe the plumber.
Joe the plumber.
Remember Joe the plumber?
Yeah, I think Joe the plumber is going to follow the Pillow Man.
Ooh, no, Pillow Man's about to hug his pillow and be homeless. You saw how much they're suing him for? And I love it. I'm here for those lawsuits. That's the way to go after these people. Hit them where the money. The only person I think can withstand a good lawsuit is Roger Stone. I don't know what we got to do to get rid of Roger Stone. But.
Do you see the reports that a lot of the rioters from January 6th, a few of them were like his bodyguards that they were seen with him?
Yes.
Roger.
Yes.
And so now there's almost a link to the president through this.
Because, there was a Trump staffer too. You saw the Trump staffer,
right? And there was a guy whose face they showed. I didn't quite listen to the whole segment in the news. I just saw a picture of a guy with earphones, apparently in contact with somebody. So this whole thing was coordinated and organized, and there's like more and more evidence that the FBI is gathering. I think we'll find out dirt.
And the Brigadier General, who Nancy Pelosi put in charge of the investigation on the House side, this guy Nagel, he is definitely. Is his name Nagel? The one from Louisiana.
No, it's not Nagel. No.
Huh? General Honorary, because it's a Louisiana name, so that's why I asked my wife, because she has that accent. I can never say it right. But yeah, this guy, he was mad before she appointed him. He was on, I think, Meet the Press, and he was just spewing, literally mad at the disrespect for the, he's a military guy, so this is just ridiculous, and so I think it's going to be a good investigation. I mean, we're going to see this web. We're going to see all the links, and Trump will be in the center, but none of them will touch him. Just like Ollie North, G. Gordon Liddy, Reagan was there, but he wasn't there. So I think the difference Trump.
But Reagan wasn't with Gordon Liddy and all that. You mean Nixon?
No, I'm saying no. You don't remember? Iran Contra. G. Gordon Liddy was still in that mix too. Just like Roger Stone is like, to me, Roger Stone is our G. Gordon Liddy. He kept popping up. Popped up with Nixon. He popped up with Ollie North. It was like he was like the shadow guy.
I know Ollie North wasn't, he was leading the pack, but I didn't know about the other.
Yeah, he was the guy that kind of coordinated things quietly behind the scenes, or at least that's what they allude to.
Right. But
I should say allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. But you had to put that in the context of how Reagan was concerned about Central America becoming a big nest for Marxist guerrillas and all that.
Right. So, compared to Trump being concerned about this losing.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. But at least there is a context. There's a context to some of the stuff he did.
At least the world was in balance. At least you could allude to he was doing this for a certain reason. Right. Whereas Trump just doesn't want to. I don't know if you watched this show called The Circus.
Yes.
But it's, oh my God. When you see some of the Trump people talking about, they were crying. I think on episode 3 or 4, when he was leaving, they just were crying, saying, God is going to take care of him. I was like, who are these people?
Very emotional because it is a cult. You can see these people are in a trance, and someday somebody will hit them over the head, and they wake up and say, wow, what was I doing?
Well, on the black side, apparently Stacey Dash has done that. Stacey Dash did a video last week apologizing, crying, saying she was mistaken and she was a horrible, angry black conservative. Horrible. She's so sorry for that. So sorry.
Well, someday we will see Trump crying and decrying all the bad things he did. No, I don't think so.
No, I think he's already happy about Cuomo, so I don't think he'll be crying about anything.
Talking about shocking news, state lawmakers requested and received 726,877 in per diem from the beginning of March through the end of 2020 as reimbursement for lodging and meals while the COVID virus raged. How is that?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, how is that possible? How did they do that?
I mean, what were they doing that required this amount of money, almost $1 million in per diem?
I have no idea. That doesn't make any sense to me. What? Yeah, and how's that legal? How is that legal?
How do they justify this? I mean, where do they submit their invoices and who signs off on that?
Do we have a watchdog
I wish we had. I don't know.
Harrisburg.
I don't know if there is one.
Because like the city has a comptroller, so we don't have a comptroller.
State one? I don't know.
Yes,
that's a good question. But if we do, he's been asleep at the wheel.
Well, especially if they already got the per diem. If they already have the per diem, that's ridiculous.
Right. Pennsylvania Public School Employee Retirement System is investigating a potential $25 million error in relation to teachers' pensions and seeking aid from an outside law firm. How about that? 25 million error. That's not a rounding error.
Did they are they saying the 25 million is obviously missing? It's not a surplus.
It's not a surplus. No, it's missing.
That's terrible. You always wonder why it never happens to a lawyer's pension.
Good question. No, or to
accountants.
To council, city council, to Harrisburg.
No, they have been. There has been not so much. I don't know about Philadelphia, but in New York, there were scandals with city worker pensions. So there has been pension scandals when it comes to city employees. I don't know that if city council is considered part. I don't know if their pension is the city council pension. Not here, but I'm saying New York. I don't know if it was part of that same pension program. My feeling was it was because New York pension was such a force to be reckoned with back in the day on Wall Street. As some major cities' pensions are their pension funds are really investors. They're really active as institutional investors. So I don't know if you have a separate pension fund for city council but the city employees in New York they had a scandal too years ago in the 80s. It wasn't as much as 20. It was never 25 million. That's not funny, but it's oh my god, that's a lot of money to.
It is.
That's crazy.
Anyway,
and it probably isn't new, Fernando. It's probably something that happened. It's been happening for a long time.
Right. I agree. That's probably not that it just happened this week. COVID stimulus relief means families around the state will soon be getting monthly payments for their children. So that's that I was shocked to read about the thousands of children going hungry in this country and in particular in this state and in this city. So many children going hungry. And not surprising, I guess, in view of the fact that there are so many people unemployed. So
what's weird about that is you would think then we would have more people supportive versus what we have. Because I don't know if you know, most of the insurrectionists who were arrested, the biggest number were from unemployed and from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Wow.
That hurt my heart when I saw You know, I mean, I don't think that we had a lot of Philadelphians. I know there was a van that left from Philadelphia, but it wasn't like a bus load of Philly people. But there were buses from Pennsylvania. I'm just saying, I don't feel like, you know, it's probably 40 or 50 or 60 people in Philadelphia. But it hurts my heart, you know, to know that that Philadelphia really played a big part in the insurrection. It's like, really, you know. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
like I would
I believe
expect Texas
that.
or Florida or something. They stayed home, you know.
Yeah, I believe that. You know, that uh, when that news came about, it reminded me of one time I was, because I walk a lot around the city, and I was in uh, walking towards the river, towards the Delaware River,
Yeah.
Front Street, Front,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I don't know the other street.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing two pickup trucks full of people with Trump flags,
Yes.
and I always I don't even remember the date, but I think it was around the beginning of January,
January.
and I don't know if that was part of the. No, it was December actually. It was December because I was shocked that it was like right after Christmas. I said, "Who are
Okay.
these people? What are they doing?" Anyway, um, so anyway, we know that they
Well, we know
came
the
from
Republican.
everywhere, and but
Yeah,
one
I was gonna say, you know that the Republican club is over by Port Richmond, so
is that
you
what
know,
it is? Yeah, well,
yeah,
that makes sense.
right.
Um,
The way you
yeah.
said that so quick. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, Port Richmond. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Governor Tom Wolf has created a new commission to seek ways to overhaul Pennsylvania's highway funding. You know, one of the things that is more upsetting about this city right now at this point is to walk around with broken streets. Martin, I'm going to take a 30-second break here. En Usa la Media de Roundtable les habla Fernando Méndez, Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Regresamos en un momento.
Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar la mesa redonda de Roundtable, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio.
Los siguientes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo en la mesa redonda de Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Estamos en compañía de nuestro amigo Martin Pratt. So, Martin, before you were rudely interrupted, you were going to say something. I forgot what it was.
No, you were just saying about Governor Wolf.
Yeah.
And
a commission to for the highway program to overhaul that. But you know, I was mentioning the fact that Philadelphia, the streets are in such bad shape everywhere. And more upsetting than that is they come and pave, they fix them, and then the next day you see the people was breaking the pavement again because it's PGW or Pico or somebody.
No one is talking to the other person. Yeah, I think that well, here's the thing. According to the politicos, the staff of House representatives I've been talking to, the states are getting a lot of money in this stimulus bill, a lot, and it's supposed to be that at least the ones I've talked to, they're very, very excited about how the city is going to use the money. Not just our city, I mean cities in general. So I definitely think that, okay, we have a budget deficit of $400 million. That's going to be done with because of the amount of money the city is going to get. Then comes the question: we'll have a surplus, probably. Evictions and any kind of food insecurity, and then jobs, and then streets. And somewhere in there is the healthcare, but we have a problem with, obviously we want homeowners to be able to keep their mortgages, and Omar has introduced a bill that is probably not going to pass, but it is giving a moratorium on mortgage payments. She's smart. And so they're saying it's a 50-50 chance it could pass. And when it gets to the Senate will definitely they were saying the Senate will definitely veto, not pass it. But there is a chance that if landlords decide that they like the bill, then the Senate could actually pass the bill, but it would be more landlord heavy, less tenant heavy, and deferring mortgage payments until 2022.
Wow.
So after those things, so you have housing, you have jobs, you have food, you should definitely do infrastructure. Now, who's going to talk about infrastructure? I don't know, at city council, because the budget has to be, dealt with through city council and everything. But I'm wondering, who would stand up for the infrastructure in the city.
I don't know. It could be one of the people at large. I hope would be more interested in that. Somebody like I don't know,
Isaiah Thomas,
Alan Dom, Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Uh,
we should start asking that question. Everybody else is going to ask questions about housing, and obviously, gun violence is horrible. Just horrible gun violence. But we should maybe reach out to them to ask them to come on your show and talk about infrastructure.
Yeah.
That could be the Ursula thing, is just talking about the streets and the infrastructure and see what happens.
Yeah, we tried to get answers. We interviewed, Charles Peruto, who wants to run against Krasner.
Yeah,
I don't know that he has a chance.
No. I'm glad the way you said it. I think he has a chance.
But anyway, Krasner didn't even show up. Krasner didn't want to be on the same stage.
So, I got to ask you, outside my window, I'm looking at the school and the kids who came out for lunch, I guess, or exercise or whatever. I want to ask you, what do you feel as a former school teacher? And I'm looking, these are little kids, these are elementary school. Would you feel comfortable going back to work?
That's a good question, man. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it in that context, but personally, if I had to go back to teaching, at this point I would, because I got the 2 vaccines, and I think that would be the key.
Oh yeah, you got your second shot. Oh yeah, I didn't realize you did.
Yeah. So vaccinate all teachers. Period.
Right.
Maybe get the Johnson and Johnson, which is 1 shot, and do everybody possible.
Yeah, the Johnson and Johnson.
What about it? Well, you had the same objections and other people because
the Johnson and Johnson, not because of the cancer in their baby powder. In years they knew about that baby powder caused cancer, and they refused to tell the public. So if they're saying that Johnson Johnson is only 70% effective, it's probably 35% effective. Their history is really bad with numbers and really bad at being transparent.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean that
okay, well maybe it's 40%.
They did something bad in the past doesn't mean that they're just do bad things again.
It's big.
How many times have you been,
farmer?
Martin? How many times have you been forgiven for bad things that you did, and then would everybody think that you stole a bad egg?
I feel like that's our problem with capitalism. If real capitalism means that they forgive you and me, that because we contribute. Real capitalism, you don't forgive the corporation ever. You forgive the CEO, the human in the corporation, but you don't forgive. So the person that didn't say this and the person that yes, but the company, no.
Oh boy. Anyway,
but the other ones, that 90%, definitely. I take the 2 shots. I take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Johnson and Johnson, I don't know. And the other thing is that the variants, right? The variants haven't really hit. That's what I'm also concerned about. One, we're concerned about. We'll see in 4 weeks, right, Fernando? What the numbers? Everyone's been out, out and about.
Well, the good news for Pennsylvania is that anybody who needs a vaccine by the end of March, everybody will have if they want it. So that's good enough for us.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I want to say something that you don't care anything about, but I do, and many of my
Wait,
listeners.
we haven't cared anything about.
Cristiano Ronaldo, the best soccer player in the world right now.
Football.
Pelé congratulated Cristiano Ronaldo after the Portuguese forward hat-trick against Cagliari took him past the Brazilian legend's tally of goals. So Ronaldo scored 3 times in 32 minutes to take his career.
Wow, that's hard. That's hard.
770.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
I don't even think you can do 2. I don't think you can even do 2 touchdowns in 35 minutes. The same person.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, actually,
I mean 2. 3 is impossible. 3 touchdowns in the same. Like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's quite a feat, and because Ronaldo and Messi are supposed to be at the top of the list in terms of players, but Ronaldo just went past Pelé's record.
How old is he?
How old? 30,
is he in 30s? Okay.
or 37. Something
so he may have 2, 3, 4 more good years.
Yeah. And
I would retire now, though. I would retire now. Start retire at the top, and then start my business or whatever he's gonna do.
Yeah, he's playing for Juventus. Oh, he's super rich. He has like a chain of hotels or.
Whoa.
So, he's not gonna rest on his laurels. He's making more and more money every day.
That's good. A lot of, because years ago the players they were broke. The soccer players were really sad.
So Martin, see how fast the time flies. You have to come earlier, or you have to come more often to this show.
Both.
Okay. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
And señores oyentes de USA la Media, les agradecemos mucho su sintonía en el día de hoy. Se despide Fernando Méndez aquí en la mesa redonda. Danny Ramos controlando la máquina digital. And Martin Pratt was our guest today. Los esperamos a ustedes. Hasta la próxima.
Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar La Mesa Redonda, The Roundtable, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio.